subscript to unpack the. So the other thing is, we saw nested list. Okay, you can use put one more for loop. So for loop is one more way of unpacking value. Okay, so there are two ways, either subscript or for loop. You can unpack the values from your. So here you see, I'm using two subscripts. That two subscripts are nothing but right, because in is going to again. If you want one value, of course you shouldn't use for loop. Basically, we use for loop for unpacking all the values from the collection. Also, we saw enumerate, and enumerate is going to help you up with the position of the element within your data set. Of course, in C language, you could have, but rather than that, Python is functional of creating all this. Use our enumerate function, which is the position of the element, the collection plus the record, whatever record you have. So here, there are three ways. First, and most important thing is most of the functions in Python return generator. Almost absolutely. So what is a generator? It's a simple function which will remember its state. And unlike collections, generators will not store any. In collections, you store values, and in generate, every time when I generate a call to the function, next time when I generate a call, next value. So likewise, one record at a time, and you should have a generator. It will be lightweight and you can amount of. Even the computations are going to happen based on your requirement. But with for loop, what happens is you will process all the records. So if you really want to process all the records, of course you can use for loops on. Enumerate is one of them because we can verify that if the API or if the function is returning an address, most probably you just convert it and verify what that generator returns. So in our case, this enumerate function is returned. So you saw that I put it into a list, and when I put it into a list, if you see what was it inside list, you can see that it was returning a tuple with two. Now that I know that the tuple is having two values, you can unpack it using for loop. Here you can verify what I've done. I put a comma operator. Likewise, you can unpack the values. So what people do is first they just put a conversion function to check what that thing returns, and based on how many values that particular generator is returning, extract it with a comma operator like this. Normally they do it like this. Or the next thing is, if you don't want all the values to be taken out through generator, say enumerate and pass it into, just say next. The moment when you say next, the first record from the generator will be generated. Likewise, next. But the problem, you see, you shouldn't go out of top iteration error, because in next, what happens is when and if you use next on it, then obviously you will get stop iteration error. So in that case, it is better to use for. But when I say better, don't say better, because again, it depends what you are doing. So this I have seen a lot, and this also I have seen, depending upon how. Next thing what we saw is range.
Uh, the what that F, what it is stand for? Print parenthesis F double inverted
F strings.
F string.
Yes, this is called as F strings. So basically, when you want to print anything, there are three ways, right? C style formatting. Say format specifiers. At the place of format specifiers, the contents of the object will be printed. So normally, if you want to print a string, you have to use very old style, okay? But then Python has evolved over a period of time. Then Python started go ahead with dot format, str dot format. But in str dot format, you can use placeholders, curly braces, and within curly braces, you can give positions like 0, 1, 2, like that. So that was there till 2010. But after 2013-14, then with Python 3. I think 3.5. After Python 3.6, then F string was introduced. So it is just a way of displaying the content of the object within curly braces. Because if I don't write that f, then what will happen? It is simply going to print the whole thing as a string. It will just print what value is index position. So you will have to tell that that curly braces should have some meaning, right? So if you write this f, then you are saying that at the place of curly braces, print the contents of it. It's just a simple method of printing the contents of it.
Another way to do same operation, draw string R.
It is a very old style, R and I forgot R and single quotes, na?
Just R. Similar approach to.
Content त्याचा हा.
Mostly we use that in
This
regex.
was very old, R. You are saying
It is
is
actual value.
Reading that in one of the
cross strings. How do you use it? R and
just R. Replace
that's it.
नाही लावलं ना तर असं प्रिंट होईल जसं त्याचं व्हॅल्यू इज इन एक्सपोज
and you don't.
Just a minute, just a minute. Where is it? So it is working fine. With R also it is working. If I say F, or just let me say R, kernel restart and clear output because it works. No, it's not working. Value is index position. It's not. I will check that. What you said is absolutely. That's something called as R. R, but it is also very old way of doing it. Now F string is the just say F, no space, nothing. No? If you give a space, it won't work. There shouldn't be any space. Immediately you'll have to write double quotes and then curly braces.
In comment 1, in that set itself, comment 1, that is convert the generator, what is it?
Yes.
So we have printed the code 3 times. So my question is, if we print the first code, then for second code, the input will be the output of first code.
It is like I just wanted to show that if it is returning a generator, then the generator can be easily converted into any collection.
Okay, those are all the.
These are the three conversion functions and different conversion functions that you can actually apply on a generator.
Okay, and the input will be the
Input
database,
process is
the list one.
list.
Yeah.
So I am passing this list as an argument, and
Yeah.
this list, what enumerate is returning, it is returning the position of the element and the element.
Yeah, clear.
The generator topic we'll see in detail, right?
See that. You will be very good with generators because, as I have told you, right, it's all about generators only, finally. Because it's, and only three ways, by the way, a conversion function, for loops, and next. 3 ways. So only you will have to use this. So coming back to this, see, just like how I use enumerate, I'm again showing you one more generator, which is a built-in generator. Now, what is this range? Normally, you don't want a collection, right? Sometimes what you want is you have a list here. You see, list is having some values 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you are iterating this list and you are printing the contents of the list. But I'm saying, why are you storing that value inside a collection? Because collection is going to consume some amount of memory, correct? Range, what it does is only when there is a call, it will create a value for you. Okay, so here I'm using a for loop to extract all the values from generator. So here index starts with 0 by default and 5 is not included, correct? So here it is just going to print from 1 to 0 to 4. Now if you want, you can use for loop or you can use conversion function or you can use next. Same three things again, how we used it on enumerate. Exactly the same thing. The only thing here is if you get error saying, you are unable to iterate it to iter conversion function so that it will convert it into iterator because next is called as an iterator. Iterable is collection. The terminologies are iterables are for loop and next, and we can use iterators on generators both.
So we have a list of generators.
List of generators. List of
You
generators.
said enumerate is one of the generator, right? I'm going to say second one range.
Range is also a generator.
List.
Okay, you are asking about how many. So over a period of time, you'll realize I'm saying most of the functions. A lot of built-in functions, even zip. You'll see some of the functions and you'll realize the purpose of the function.
Generator, if I understand it correctly, generator means we generates or create a value. Connection?
When the call happens to that function,
Okay, when the call happens, it create values.
I will call add, right? When I call add, it will return the addition of values.
Yeah, for
Right.
example, in enumerate case, it is creating a position of the
It is returning the position and the element, but only when the call happens.
same for range, it is not the value.
Absolutely right. Only when the call is happening to range, see here, if the call is not happening, it is not generating any value. So when the first call happens, it is returning 0. When the second call to range happens, it is not returning 0. Normal function, so when we call, every time it would have returned 0. If I call a function 5 times and the logic is function has to do some computation and it has to return a value, correct? So normally when we call a function, it will return only single value, whatever it is supposed to do. But here, see how it is working. First call is returning 0. Second call is returning 1. Third call is returning. So every time when I give a call to that function, it is returning a different value for me. And that logic will be written within generator. Okay, we'll see that with examples.
And so after using iterator, we are printing the consecutive range, the all values within that range.
One after converting it into iterator, first time when I say ref, it will return 0. Second time when I say next on ref, it is returning. So see here, I have this string. Okay, just I'll show you one more example. Okay. And I will try to say ref equal to, you can use anything. I will try to put string here. Okay. And if I try to say print next on ref, you see it is not going to work. Why? Because string is not an iterator. Correct. So if I run this, it gives me an error. String object is a collection, right? So basically what you want is you need to convert this into a iterator. And to convert it into iterator, you will have to use iter, right? Iter conversion function. And if you do this, now you see next, only the first, what you say? String. So first string within the string, because there is no char. So here when you say next, you're getting Tom, like that. So basically, this is one way. The other way is I could have used a for loop for char in string, print char end equal to, and you see again you are getting Tom like that. So either you can use a for loop or you can convert that iterator, what you say, iterable into a iterator, and then you can use a iterator on it because your for loop is a iterator.
The first approach, say for example, I want to search the string or character T, the middle one, right? So, or maybe the generator concept is not for unpacking everything, right? So if I want just, say for example, my use case is I want to find the middle T, and if the next step finds the middle T, I want it to break out. So
And
that
then
my
you can put a for loop on it.
we will use for loop. Comparison condition with the next step. So basically, say for example, if I am doing an ref equals iter string, if I put a if next ref equal compared to
Here you are saying, right?
right.
Or how many times this should work?
That is what my question is, that how do you detect the EOL like
There's no
condition?
UAL for this, no?
So we are saying that we do not want to unpack everything, but with next ref, if I want to compare something.
Yeah, I got it. Next, if you want to compare something, how do you know the Here we can do that, but I'm not. You can find the length of this len on string.
Yeah, then again we are doing the same thing, like we are emulating the same logic from the for, because len string, and then we
Then you
parse the
can put
loop until the end of that string length. Then print char and does that for me.
then it does that.
Again,
Again,
what is the advantage of using next ref?
only one thing will be processed at one time. No? One record will be processed at one time. This can be records also. No? T can be a complete list, or it can be any record. So if you want to fetch only one record, you can do it with next. So in your CSV files, you'll have rows. One row only if you want. One row will be next. The next row will be generated.
And internally, how does it differ from the second approach? If you're talking about CSV files, right? Say for example, I have a one row in my CSV file. I have loaded that particular row into a tuple, right? Or a list, maybe. Let's consider that to be a list. So now I am iterating. I want to iterate through those rows. So first, when the for loop goes through the flow sequence first time, I have first row loaded, and internally I'm manipulating it or printing out the values of the row, basically unpacking it, right? And I want to do the same thing using generator, right? So for example, I am doing dot item, that one. So it returns me, or enumerate maybe. So it places a sequence number and allocates the entire row as a tuple inside it. Right. So now I want to unpack that. So in this string approach, are you telling that it will go through all of the rows for each for loop sequence?
Yes.
And for generator, it will not happen like that.
generator also will happen.
So then with that is my base question is key, how do for next step if I'm using a generator and if you are saying that it is faster, so
It is
how
very
do I approach
lightweight.
it?
It is lightweight and very fast. Because only what I'm saying is only when the call happens, the row gets generated. If there is no call, nothing will be coming out. No? Unlike collection में you are storing all the values. यहाँ पे you are not storing all the values. If the call happens, then the first record will be generated.
Okay, got your point. So basically for collections, it is a like feed everything in, then
Take only what is required.
read out of it.
Read out of it.
And for generator, only gets generated, single row will be generated and it will be read only when
And
you
the
are calling.
computation will also happen only when there is a call. If there is no call, no computation. So this is okay about so we'll see the next topic. The next topic is comprehensions. Okay, we'll see what are comprehensions. In case of comprehensions, it's a shortened way. It is a Pythonic style of doing things. Okay, what we saw yesterday was like for loops and if and all. But at a lot of times you want to create a collection based on existing collection. You are not creating a collection from scratch. Your collection is already created, but from that collection you want to create a subset of existing data. So that kind of thing can be easily done in one good line. And trust me, people who migrate from other technologies like Java or .NET, all right, they are bound to using traditional way of doing things. So they will go ahead with 3 or 4 lines. But Python, as I've told you, right, people who directly work on Python, they are very habituated to comprehension. So comprehensions is not a important thing as such. If I don't use comprehension, I'm missing out on something. Nothing like that. So basically, they have given comprehensions only to simplify your syntax. So it is simplification. But in the process of simplification, sometimes you may end up into making it more complicated. That we'll see. So first, I'll just go ahead with a simple example. Okay, I'll go ahead with D4. And I'll just go ahead with comprehension. comprehensions offer syntax, create a new collection based on existing. Okay, so here you have got list comprehension, set comprehension, dictionary comprehension, but there is no tuple comprehension. Because it becomes a generator. Because it becomes so first we'll go step by step. It's very easy. So first we'll go ahead with list. So what is list comprehension? I have a list simple example and I'll use a simple for item in range of 5. So or here you can also see something like this, 1 comma. See, I'll just go ahead with the range first, print item and equal to, take the cursor. I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is not included. I want 1 to 10. So I'll say 1 to 11. So this will go from 1 to 10. So by default, range can take 3 arguments. So by default, range will take, minimum number of arguments that the range takes is 1 argument, minimum. And maximum it can take 3 arguments. So first is what? Starting index. Next is next to last index. And you can also use something like this, comma, with a step count of 2. Correct? And you can see every next thing is printed. Don't you think we are using the same thing which we used with subscript? In subscript also we did the same thing, right? Default was starting with 0, then colon, next to last, and then colon. Same thing you can use it with range. Maximum it can take 3 arguments. So suppose if I want to print from 10 to 100, so it will be like I want to start with 10, okay, till I want to go ahead with 50, or maybe I will go ahead with 30 or 31 if you want 30 to be that kind of 5. How it will print 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So likewise, you can use range. So now that I have used range, what I want to do is I want to put this item into this collection. So instead of printing it, I want to put it into collection. So I'll say list1 dot append. What do you want to append? You want to append the item. And finally, you want to print the list. Print list1. And all you get is, it is inside your collection. And this is a very normal process. Basically, people will create a object first, and then within the object, as and when the records get generated, you will create the record and you will put it into the object. Correct? So that is what normally people do. You create a empty list first, and then as and when the records are being generated through UI or any place, you place that thing into your collection. So this thing, Python says we can do it in 1 line. No need of writing 3 lines. You can combine these 3 lines in. How do I do that? Same example. I just copy paste it and just observe this for loop. All you need to do is you need to put it within square bracket like this. Okay. And after for loop, list1 dot append. What are you appending? You are appending item for it. So this item will come here. That is how you have simplified. No need of writing these lines, and this will also give you the same result. Okay. So what you are doing is you are just combining, these 3 lines into 1 good line. So how do I read it? First, read it with for loop. So for range, okay, in item will be generated only when there is a call to range. And then once if the item gets generated, I'll just show it over there. First, it starts, whenever you want to read this, first it starts with for, okay. Then it comes to range, and after the generator will generate the value, it will come into item. Then that item, you are putting it into list. So this activity which comes at the beginning is the last one, okay, which will actually it should have come here, right? I don't know, but the syntax is like this. So they say if you want to append that item to list, then that item can be written at the beginning. So these 3 lines you are just combining it in 1 good line. So now it's not necessary for you to put item, right? You can do any computation over here, and then that computed value you are putting it over here. So that computation you can do it here also, no problem. Like here also you can do it, or after that also you can write condition and you can place it. Basically, don't forget the traditional way approach, and whatever you are doing with the traditional approach, the same thing you are doing it with one line. Just you are simplifying number of lines. So here, coming back to this, I'll just copy this and paste it. I will put item as 0. See, it becomes 0. Or I'll put item into item. Item into item, like square of the number. Okay. So 10 square, 15 square, or if you want cube, so it will be item into item into. So any computation if you want to do it, and then you can place it. Correct. Suppose if you want to put some conditions, you can also go ahead and write some condition. Like, I'll just copy this. And okay, I'll just do this. I'll say even numbers. I'll go for the classic example, even numbers, and I'll generate even numbers from range 2 to 30. So it will be for item in evens, alright. For item in range, what is that? Range starts with 1 till maybe 20. So I will have to add the next line. And here it will be if item is divisible by 2, then append the item to evens. Evens dot append item. So that you can say print evens. And you can see you are getting 246. So now again, these 3 lines, you can put it inside this only, right? So what you can do, copy this, correct? Paste it, no need of colon. After that, you are writing a if condition. So this if condition will come after for loop, like this. And then evens dot append. For evens, what are you adding? You are adding item. So this item should come at the beginning, like this. So that's it. So no need of writing these 3 lines anymore. So I can just comment it. So you are just clubbing these 3 lines into one good line. Correct. So this is called as conditional comprehension. People call this as conditional comprehension.
One question. Say for example, I have a nested loop condition. I have 2 for loops, right? I'm doing a 2D or 3D array, maybe. And for me, if it is written down like this, like the second approach that we have, not the comprehension, helps me identify, okay, it's how it's flowing. But if I do it comprehension style, so it will be one big line.
Very big line.
Yes, then I will not understand anything.
That is what I'm coming to that point. Actually, it may become very complicated to read. But the goal of this particular syntax is to simplify. Also, go ahead with this. I will try to avoid this approach. Don't you think this is much easy to read?
For 2D or 3D parsing, definitely, it seems to me that
So coming back to this is like evens. So coming back to conditional comprehension. So here I'll just go ahead with one more small example, which will help you up to get this comprehension. So here I'll go ahead with, I have a data set, okay, and within the data set, data is not consistent. Maybe I have some names. I'll say players is equal to RAT, ROHIT, and I'll say SK. So what I want to do is I want to take the input from the user, and after the user will enter the input, I need to check whether that input will match my value within the collection. So in that case, you think it should be case sensitive, right? VI and all, but user doesn't know that, and I want to do case insensitive search. So in this case, obviously I'll have to create a new collection, which will be consistent, correct? So what I can do, I can create a new collection. See here, first I'll just go ahead with input, and I'll say enter your player. Okay. And I'll just say player equal to, and I'll say if player in players, then print your player is playing match today, right?
Won't it be good to do a case fold on player itself? Because user might enter a capital case as well.
So then you'll have to create a new collection with capital letters.
What I'm saying is if player dot case fold, if you use player dot case fold in players,
Or
something like that. Player dot case fold. If player dot case fold in players. So user's input is by default converted to lowercase. And if player collection is also converted to lowercase before even the condition starts.
But then input can be given in any order, no? Input can be upper, lower, title case.
You can convert it using the,
You will have to convert both.
Converting both.
You have to convert. So here you'll have to
the
say,
input, we can say upper dot or maybe lower dot.
yeah.
Not case fold, basically. Case fold, I think is better.
First, let me just show this, and then we'll also go ahead with your. So he's in playing 11. Player is playing today. Player is playing. Else has to wait for next tournament. So here, if I run this, and if I say VIRAT, the problem is player has to wait for next time tournament. I think we did this earlier. Just so here, what you'll have to do, player dot convert this into lowercase like this. I don't know in which case the user will enter. Just a minute. Why I am putting lower, and instead of checking it into this, what you can do, you can create a new collection like this. Players lower is equal to for player in players. If, or there's no need of if, directly you can say what player dot lower. So what you are doing is you are creating a small comprehension in one line, and then you are just checking. Now you see I can put Virat everything in caps. So here what this should be players underscore. So now if I say Virat in capital, what happened now?
A players and player. S, S.
Players dot lower say.
Virat. So player is or Virat is playing today. You can just say whatever is the input that you have taken here. If I say Virat, Virat is playing today. And even if I put Virat like this in lowercase, still it will come. Or if I put it in like this, still it will come. Like this, what you can do is,
So you first converted list into lower.
and then whatever input you are taking, that also I'm converting it into lower only. No? And then you are comparing lower with lower, that is much better.
Option we can directly while taking input, we can also convert.
While taking input, but then while taking input,
So lower.
but how this is inconsistent data. No? So you have to create a consistent data.
Will it work like player lower equals to player lower dot case fold?
Where for player.
Oh, the one line above, comment that out, the comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
And if we use player lower equals player lower dot case fold.
Where I should write it? Here?
Yeah, yes.
Player lower. But
Yes.
first you'll have to take the input. No?
No, I want to convert the entire list. And case fold it. Basically lower case it.
What I should write here?
Basically, what we are doing right now, rather than writing the list comprehension, we are parsing every element of the player's list.
Correct.
converting into lowercase. So can we do it this way, like players equals players dot case hold? Will it convert without the comprehension on for loop? And the players, no, it will end up being garbage collected. But will it work? Players equals players dot case hold.
Yes. Equal.
Players dot case hold. And if we then print players, what do we get?
Players dot case fold. And what I have to do?
So this, will it convert everything on the list above to lowercase?
You are converting the input now. You are taking input. Input के लिए player use कर रहे हैं ना.
हाँ, so what I want to say is, जो players का list है ना ऊपर, उसमें भी we have different cases, right? So we are using the so can we do it using case fold without using a comprehension? So there are two different areas where we are changing the input to lowercase. One is the user input,
Yes.
that I understood. But what I'm saying is, before even getting into we are using a comprehension. Players, the list above, the players list, the static list, can we convert that using a case fold?
But you are searching. Na? You are doing a search here. And you are searching the entire collection. Okay, talk this.
Are we overwriting the player?
Are we overwriting?
Because if you just remove the hashtag,
This one.
now here player underscore lower equal to player dot lower. So again, this is a player and below again player is equal to input. So there is that overwritten.
We are talking about this for loop. Okay?
Yes.
No, this is, the scope is only limited for this. And this is different.
Again, your the variable is same like player.
But the scope is different. No? I will show you what is happening here. This is
Here and another one. Yes,
another scope.
extra, yes.
It is like this. Just a minute. Player lower. This equal to right. This is your for loop. See here, Control C, Control V, and inside the for loop, you have this player dot. This you are putting it into player underscore loop. Append. Now, ये जो player है, it is only limited for this ना. After this for loop goes, this is gone. और ये player अलग है. This is only for the for loop. So your for loop के बाहर you cannot use this. So now I can use this.
But where we are using, okay, players. Player in players. I was
So
thinking that
after you
we are not
update-
using a players anywhere.
Of no use. Now you cannot use player anymore.
And reuse the same.
Now you can use same.
I tried that approach and it's giving
No,
me
that is
attribute
input. It's not.
because
your-
case fold is not present in a list.
It is not there in the list. Case fold is there in string.
String, yeah. Actually, case will not work with.
Players.
List.
Players.
We have to.
Not used. That is just used there, players underscore lower, players in players. But for a players is equal to input, enter your player, that is not even used. That is your input actually.
In operator.
But that is for your input, right? Not to your actually players is equal to Virat and all those lists.
But I created a comprehension na. ये जो line है, I wrote this. I created player underscore lower. I created a new collection.
Yeah, you just write it, but before writing that was not there, right? I mean that players is not used anywhere. This is what I am trying to say.
Actually, the best method is like.
So just comment out that code which is written just Let's go down.
This line you're saying.
No,
Bit of player use X or Y.
this much of code just you written, right? And what I'm saying, this list, you're not using anywhere here because just you just taking input and you are comparing that input
With the list only, player and.
Player underscore lower से करे ना
So in the list है ना.
if player
dot lower in player underscore lower.
ये जो है ये मतलब ये collection के अंदर I'm checking कि I should have used a different name ना.
yes, actually
I'm sorry, I got it.
Player.
yeah,
So,
actually I'm confusing here because we
I'll
reference with these players and this reference is not
No, but that
used
player
anywhere.
says
Because that's why I'm not able to understand.
I'll change the name, sorry for that. One names की
player
वजह से
player
सब
confuse हो जाए. हाँ वही बोले ना वो कि for loop वाला player है. The rule end हो जाता है. Again you can use player in the next line for input.
Best way is like instead of storing new data collection, maybe we can do that in for loop itself or if can itself.
But data is inconsistent na on the top.
Yeah, right. But in after that in operator, maybe we can use that for converting that element into lowercase, right? For loop condition. Like item dot lower. Maybe we can use that after in operator. It will make a single statement, and checks will be done in like input versus output. Output is also in lowercase.
Output right now is in lowercase.
Yeah, but you are creating a new reference, right? You
Which reference you are saying?
like you're converting that original players into lowercase with that help of for loop, right? In the second state.
Second statement, I guess.
Yeah.
They are
so
confusing.
instead
Just
of
replace the
creating
player
that new
with
reference,
item or X or I.
Okay, I'll just say item. Or I'll just say what?
it's okay. That's no problem.
Confusing. Player is above and then player is below.
Okay, so here you can just say what? Player को और क्या बोल सकते हैं हम लोग?
नहीं, player is actually.
Sorry to say, actually, I got my answer, which I am wondering for. In second line itself, I got my answer.
Created a new reference, right? Instead of that, you can put this one here. So that you don't need to create a new reference.
Yes.
It will store.
Yeah, I got it. That can work. That will work. So what you are saying, what he is saying is, you don't want this now. So you can just replace this. You can just replace this here. That will work. That is what I was supposed to show.
Yeah.
This will work. Absolutely.
You don't need to create a new copy.
You need to have a reference.
Reference, yeah.
But basically, still, comprehension is going to consume. You have created a collection. It's a list. Basically, you have created a list. And reference is what? Only you are wasting 4 bytes. Anyways, 4 bytes bhi to hai. If you want a reference, you can do that. Now you can write it like this also. This will also work. See, it works absolutely fine. Just a minute. ये क्या हुआ? अभी 1 minute. For
अभी player
और
complete.
Player.
for cricketer.
Because
Yeah,
you put
for
player
cricketer.
dot lower, no?
For cricketer in players,
Then you have to do that cricketer
then
dot
this will be
lower.
cricketer dot lower. Very good. Dot. And then, now this is much better. Now I'll say Virat. See, Virat is in. Okay. Now the confusion, I think there won't be.
Yes.
So it is good actually. And as you said, sometimes even I'm using some names which are, making confusion. Anybody should be able to read your code.
But is that same like when we are creating a new reference and using that in operators? Is in also creating a new reference or not?
All the keywords are references. Everything is an object. So here, I'll just go ahead with this. I want to do comparison between two or more collections, players and hitters. Equal to, I've got Virat, but यहाँ पे R is like this, and I've got Rohit. And I have got Sky, and I may have Bumrah. And cricketers and players, and both are inconsistent. So same example, I'll just copy paste it. This is your cricketers lower. Cricketers. And I'll just copy this and I'll just change player.
Just one question, like after that for loop, that data collection within in operator
Hmm.
will be garbage collection, right?
No, it is there now. The scope is there for entire. It's global. This is global. Players is global.
Yes.
It is not, you see. You declared it here.
Yeah, players will be there, but instead of converting that into lowercase, like you have stored in second statement, right? Earlier. Before you stored that as a different reference with lowercase.
Hmm.
Now we are not using that separate reference for it.
No.
Now we are using that in for loop itself.
Huh.
Okay.
You
So
can use
after
it
that
anywhere.
for loop, it will be automatically garbage.
No, it won't be. Look, this is there. As long as you have at least one reference pointing to this collection is not garbage collected. If you take out this reference, you can say del,
Yeah, I'm not talking about the original reference. I'm talking about the lowercase reference,
this one, right?
which is after in operator.
After in,
Yeah.
this one.
Maybe,
This, but the
maybe
scope,
cricket dot lower wala.
Cricket
Dot lower. Cricket dot lower is the new.
this is the new collection.
New collection.
Ah.
Right? So that will be like a garbage collection.
No, you have two collections now. Original collection and a subset of a new collection. You created one more collection. So two objects, two different memory locations.
Okay.
Nothing is garbage collected. So comprehension is just a shorter way of creating new collection. In fact, you are creating a new object. Garbage collection will only happen if there are no references attached to that object. Or you can say delete. So this is players, lowercase, player dot lower, player in players. So I've got two collections and Telkai example, which I did. Again, I'm doing the same thing. I want to do comparison, intersection wala jo hai, and I want to do, I want to check common records from both the collections. So again, what you'll have to do for player in cricketer underscore lowercase. Okay. And here you will say if player in players underscore lowercase, then common cricketers you will put it. Common cricketers. And common cricketers dot append. What will you append? You will append player. So that now you can print common cricketers. This is the traditional approach. How come? Arey, kya kiya maine? If player in
वो थर्ड फोर्थ लाइन में मुझे
Players
लगता है
local-
प्लेयर्स डॉट लोअर चाहिए ना क्रिकेटर्स अंडरस्कोर लोअर्स के नीचे वाला जो लाइन है प्लेयर्स अंडरस्कोर लोअर के सामने वो प्लेयर्स डॉट लोअर चाहिए ना वहाँ पे
player in,
प्लेयर ही
I'm collecting one thing at a time. I'm converting it into lower. I'm taking cricketer in cricketers में जाना चाहिए ना?
चाहिए हाँ
Cricketers में जाना चाहिए ना? अभी this is much better. So what I'm saying is, all these lines you can actually combine it in one line. So what we learned is, this line goes inside like this, and after this you are writing a if condition. This goes here, and then dot append you are doing player. So this comes here. So no need of doing these things again. See, you are getting the same result, correct? So as you said, sometimes you could actually write this place. See, one person has written code like this, the other person is writing code like this. He's saying, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, and I want to save references. Okay, but you end up in a complete mess. Equal to, this is how you write it. Copy this whole thing, paste it, and here your cricketer underscore lower is nothing but this one. No? So if you replace this, and if you replace this lowercase with this, there is the second one, this one. Copy, paste, and you should be able to see you are getting the same result. But out of the two approaches, which approach is better, first one or second one? Obviously first one. Because first one is simplifying things and second one is complicating things. Nobody will be able to read it, I bet you. A glance dekho and you tell who will be able to read it. Player for player in square bracket, cricketer dot lower for cricketer in cricketers, square bracket complete. If player in again square bracket, player dot lower for player in players. You will get Oscar award. Okay, for writing code like this.
That is what I was asking. In the beginning, my question was,
You asked the
But-
same thing.
The comprehensive code will save the performance or
It is not, it has nothing to do with performance. The same amount of memory, same thing.
why we are, instead of so three lines, I am writing one line.
That's
Will
it.
that save the performance or?
It has nothing to do with performance. All you can say is, it is a shortened Pythonic style. बोलते हैं ना, हर एक का style रहता है, तो Python का style. They don't write 3 lines, they do it in one go. एक line में लिखो ना, why to write 3 or 4?
डेबगिंग करने वाला ऐसे कोड देख के परेशान होता है।
हाँ, वो परेशानी हो सकती है, but वो first वाला परेशानी नहीं है. First वाला जो अगर आप देखोगे, this is much better to read. You have two separate, look, why I took this example, because this is a separate comprehension, this is a separate comprehension, and this is very much used in Python. For player in cricketer's lower case. So you are taking, you are taking a player from this particular collection, and if the player is there in players lower, correct? Then add the player to common players. So ये वाला line है ना, this is how people use. So I'll make a note here. What is the note? The note is,
आउटपुट में हार्दिक क्यों नहीं आया?
क्योंकि common नहीं है.
दोनों के अंदर कॉम्प्लेक्स प्लेयर्स और क्रिकेटर्स
Intersect.
Intersection का I'm just doing it. So ये, okay, what was the note? The note was, never nest comprehensions. Keep comprehensions separate. Because it is going to come. So I'll actually comment this. I don't want this line. And I'll just take this line up. And I will go ahead with the second, this one. Okay, so this is about list comprehension. We'll go ahead with set comprehension. There is no big deal about it. It is exactly like list comprehension. The only thing is you are using, instead of square bracket, you'll use curly bracket. That's it. So if you want to create set comprehension, same example, I'll just copy this, paste it, and I will just change this to set, and I will change this to set because I don't want a list. It's also my set. And instead of using square bracket, I will use curly braces. Copy both. See, I'll use curly braces. I don't want a list comprehension. I'll just use curly braces. So this becomes a set comprehension. Either you can do it like this or pass this list comprehension as a argument to set conversion function. This is one more way in which you can create a indirect way of creating set comprehension. Basically, you are passing a list comprehension and you are just converting it into set. Both the ways are okay, but this is the most. Now that you have created set comprehension, all you can do is you can use all the functions related to set. तो ये वाला जो योगा किया आपने, what was the yogasana? This one ना, for player and all. तो common cricketers के लिए intersection method है ना आपके पास. So all you can do is you can just say print. You want the common cricketers, so here it will be cricketers lower intersection dot intersection of players lower. That's it. And ये भी this is also giving you the same result. But order गया आपका काम से. पहले Sky आएगा फिर रोहित आएगा. So actually you have avoided your common cricketers वाला list comprehension because ready-made method. So that is the advantage of using set comprehension over. इसको check करना है. You want to create a list comprehension. Copy paste. Copy this. Paste it. This becomes your set comprehension. Print events. We won't use it for set here because anyways, I'll be using a list comprehension. Just wanted to show. Notice that there is a curly brace in the output. Nice and easy, na? List comprehension, set comprehension. So the next thing what we'll see is the third thing, which is tuple comprehension. Okay, I have made a note. What is the note? Note is there is no tuple comprehension. There is no tuple comprehension because it becomes a generator. And this is very, very useful. Huh? Pradeep. Pradeep. Very, very useful because generator can be created in multiple ways. But in Python, people use this particular syntax a lot because simplified है ना, एक ही line में हो जाता है. So what if you want to create a generator, just change this same example. I'll just change this with parenthesis. And you may be thinking square bracket is for list, curly braces is for set, and obviously tuple के लिए it was parenthesis. So let me put parenthesis and it should become a tuple comprehension technically. Because if you say that this operator is for tuple, but Python has, used this for creating generator. So now if you run this, all you get is a generator object. See, and how generator can be accessed? Three ways: conversion function, for loop, next. So if you want to take out values from this particular thing, because now see how it works for item. Okay, in range. So first range itself is a generator. Now there are two generators. Generator within a generator. So within range, this itself is a generator. Item is going to take out the first item, which is 1. And if the condition matches, then the generator will generate the value. Item. Next time when there is a call for events, only then the next value will be generated. So here, how do I take it out? I'll say events, and this I'll put it into ref equal to events, and I'll say print next one ref. See, I got 2 because 1 and 2 condition will satisfy only when you get 2. After that, when I say next, Oh, just a minute, just a minute. I'll first range will work. Range will take 1, item will be 1, and if item mod 2, if it is 0, only then it will be adding. So now item 1 mod 2 is not 0. So this condition will fail. If this condition fails, then take out 2. And now 2 is there. 2 mod 2 is 0. Now 2 will be generated here. When you say next, nothing. There is no computation till you say next on ref. The moment when you say next on ref, now range will not start with 1. Now range will start with 3. Got it now? So it starts with 3 now. So that is the reason I was saying generator will always wait. So from where it has left now, it resumes from that place. So it starts with 3. Now 3 mod 2 is not 0. Now 4. 4 mod 2 is 0, so add 4. But this 4 will be returned here. And after 4 will be returned, no computation, nothing. But yahi agar if I would have done it with list comprehension, don't you think all values will be computed and everything will be stored into events? Correct? So it's not like that. So if I would have used square bracket, things would have been different. So either I can do this one to take out the values from generator. The second way is convert it into a conversion function. I'll just say what print list of events. So abhi aap bologe, Deva, you converted into what was the point of creating a generator? When you created a list, then you should have used a list comprehension because you destroyed the purpose of generators, na? Correct? So that is the reason why people don't use conversion functions. You use it for testing. And in case if you want the other ways, or you can just copy this. If you pass it into a set, it becomes a set. If you pass it to a tuple, it becomes a tuple. Any conversion, don't pass it to complex numbers and all. Conversion is not possible in that case. Correct? अभी एक देखो एक मजे की बात. Very nice that I typed it here only. You see, you are getting an empty set and an empty, what do you say, tuple. वे आप बोलोगे देवा ऐसा क्यों है? Because if I write it like this, square bracket, ये बन गया collection. This becomes a collection. So now if I run this, तीनों बार आ रहा है ना output बराबर से आ रहा है, right? So output is coming absolutely right. So now what is happening here? If you say list and if you use it on events, it is going to consume the, it is not, these values are stored. See, when you use a list comprehension, the values are stored. But when you use a generator, the values are not stored anywhere. So if I use this, when you say list and when you put it on events, the entire generator is already consumed. It has reached the end. Range kahan tak gaya? Till 21. Stop. And now if you say set on events, obviously it is an empty generator. So it will show you what? It will show you. So what you'll have to do, every time you'll have to create a generator in case if you are, doing something like this or something. So this is the comparison as to how generator is different from a list comprehension. Yeah, take for example, it's not only about conversion. You put any function, but the thing is, are you consuming the entire generator? If the entire generator is consumed, like take for example, if I say print sum of even number events are, comma, I'll say sum. And where I'm putting sum? I'm putting sum on. अभी देखो, sum of events are 0. अभी आप बोलो यार sum क्यों 0 आ रहा है? Because यहाँ पे generator is already consumed ना. If अगर I would have not used generator, if I would have used a collection, तो sum बराबर आएगा because you stored the value. 110 आ रहा है ना sum. So moral of the story is generators do not store values and if the generator has reached its end, then again you need to create the generator. Then it will see sum is 110. We can. Do we have a break?
Yes.
We'll have a break for 10 minutes.
As you said, maybe we can take it question after break. As you said, the generator is alternative for collection. Right? So maybe it's better if you could example, real time example maybe or not. I'm not sure, but that would help us to understand. Okay, so here you give an example like the values those are stored and values are not. That is the one.
Yes, that is one thing. The other thing is when you do computation, you put a for loop on something. You're putting a if condition. The if condition will be taken care.
Yes.
But when you use the generator, if will only work the for.
Okay. This will help in the computation or is it something like anywhere else apart from this?
All the functions will most I shouldn't say like most of the functions in Python written generators, built-in functions, built-in APIs. Lightweight.
मैंने तो बताया था ना प्रॉब्लम है ये। ये तुम्हारा पहले वाला डेटा था। यहाँ पे नाम कैसे आ रहा था? टिल ये वाली कैरेक्टर जो कि नहीं था। होटल वाली किधर? ये वाला था। तो ठीक है। देख रहे हो? ये जो कॉमा के नीचे एक कॉमा और ऊपर ये वाला एपोस्ट्रोफी जो आता है इनवाइटेड आता है ऊपर या
अच्छा।
ये वाले कैरेक्टर के लिए ये वाले कैरेक्टर के लिए ये ऐसे आ रहा है।
अभी चेंज हुआ क्या वो नए
नहीं
डेटा
नहीं नहीं नए डेटा में मैं इसका सारा का सारा ट्रेस रिपोर्ट निकाल के कर दिया।
नहीं, लेकिन अभी मुझे बताओ जो आपने डेटा मुझे शेयर किया था जो टिकट पे था वो डाउनलोड कर लिया, उस डेटा में कुछ चेंजेस है क्या?
हाँ उसी डेटा में ही चेंज किया ना मैं जो तुम
अच्छा, जो आप बोल रहे हो कि जो ट्रेस रिपोर्ट से आपने अपडेट करवाया है DUV के लिए किया है,
DU और GBR ये दो कंट्री के लिए।
बाकी सबको करना पड़ेगा ऐसे बोल रहे
नहीं बाकी सबको मुझे नहीं लगता करना पड़ेगा। मुझे जो रिपोर्ट देख के ऐसा लग रहा है ये तो चलो पॉसिबली ये करेक्ट है। अर्जेंटीना में मुझे दिख रहा है यहाँ पे ऐसे वाली कैरेक्टर जहाँ पे आ रहा है ना वो समझ लो कि तुम्हारा ऑस्ट्रेलिया में एक बार चेक कर लो।
लेकिन वो कैसे पता करे कि वो वहां पे जो डेटा है वो गलत है, क्योंकि डेटा तो वहां से ही उठाया
क्यों हाँ उठा है लेकिन मैं जब इसलिए तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि ट्रेस रिपोर्ट चेक करना एक आध बार मुझे दिखा कि सारा का सारा ही गलत है।
तो
ये
काम करते हैं
ये वाला करेक्ट है जैसे मेक्सिको एंड अर्जेंटीना ये एकदम करेक्ट है नो इश्यूज ये भी पॉसिबली करेक्ट है, लेकिन ये ए के ऊपर जो वाला है वो एक बार चेक कर लें।
नहीं, मुझे एक बात बताओ, आपने ट्रेस रिपोर्ट देखा और उसमें जाके आपको पता चला, बट इफ वी वांटेड टू चेक अगेन गोइंग फॉरवर्ड, तो हर बार हमें वो क्रॉस वेरीफाई करना पड़ेगा ट्रेस
नहीं
रिपोर्ट के साथ
नहीं
या?
नहीं, वही मैंने इस वजह से ही तो मैंने यहाँ पे बोला कि जो टिकट अगर देखोगे, मैंने सेम टिकट पे बोला मैंने, ये तुम हमको ये अगर दो तो इनवैलिड कैरेक्टर जो कैरेक्टर आया
उनको बोला है ना आपने?
इंजीनियरिंग टीम को यही सजेशन है, विकास के मीटिंग में आज मैं बता दूंगा ये चीज, लेकिन फर्स्ट टाइम के लिए जो मैं टाइम बनाऊंगा तो डेटा सही होके जाना चाहिए।
ओके, तो आप बोल रहे हो कि जो ए वाले कैरेक्टर्स है जो एक्सेल शीट में आए हैं
वो
वो-
पॉसिबली नहीं,
वो रॉन्ग है पॉसिबली। एक्चुअल में जो ट्रेस रिपोर्ट में है, लेट से वहां पे ए कॉलन ए के ऊपर कुछ आया है,
और कुछ भी हो
बट
सकता
वो ट्रेस रिपोर्ट में उसका रेप्लिका कुछ तो हो रही है, जैसे कि कॉमा है या इन्वर्टेड
है।
कॉमा।
ओरिजिनल तुम्हें ट्रेस रिपोर्ट से मिलेगा।
ट्रेस रिपोर्ट कहाँ से लेना है, या आपने ऑलरेडी रखा है ऊपर इसमें?
सारे मैं थोड़ी निकाला।
By the way, ये सब
है?
the 14 participants are there for all the
Yes,
transport.
yes, and no one is absent.
Because he was asking for the attendance sheet.
Actually, I had registered only for like basic module, which is 4 days, but I was actually now thinking to extend. I need to talk to Oakland probably or with my
I
manager.
also registered for, but it is okay if you are continuing with it, I believe.
Maybe I'll need to
Yes, yes,
inform my manager.
yes. Yes.
तो हाँ exactly.
वो जो आपके रिपोर्टिंग है ये
हाँ yes yes. So maybe today I'll talk. Can I extend for the rest of the?
मुझे अगर ट्रेनिंग मिली ना, I will surely attend. वो कुछ तो normal life से you feel good.
Yeah exactly.
So actually,
Actually, it is like I don't feel like learning उतना होता है, but you also get mental relief that.
problem is like there are many online courses, but the problem is like we never dedicatedly sit on.
Who can do that? I
And when we have these works and all, then we will discontinue somewhere.
what you say is absolutely right. I agree to it. Even if you can purchase any course, right, you will not be able to complete the entire course. I bet you. Halfway, you will leave it.
Do somewhere else. Like we will lose the interest, might be.
मेरे लिए भी सेम है कि एग्जैक्टली जो बेसिक चीज है वो जानना जरूरी है। अगर रिजित मुझे कुछ स्क्रिप्ट या और कुछ दे दिया, आई शुड अंडरस्टैंड कि वो मैं कैसे रन करूं।
नॉर्मली इसलिए वो एफएमई में इसलिए भी किया था बिकॉज एट द एंड यूजर को स्क्रिप्ट में जाके करना पड़ा था एंड इफ ही गॉट सम एरर
That should not be.
इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू डीबग इट, मतलब आपके उधर आना पड़ेगा फिर डूइंग दैट एक इंटरफेस ही दे दो एट द एंड। इसलिए मैं एफएमई में कर रहा हूँ, वैसे आई कुड हैव कन्वर्ट दैट इनटू पाइथन स्क्रिप्ट जैसे EX किया ना।
आवाज तिचं यायला किती बोललं गेली. Probably त्याला माहिती असेल किंवा काहीतरी.
करायला लागेल. करायला ना. करूया. बघू जरा काढू एक्सप्लोर.